stock exchanges in India were regulated by the Department of Economic Affairs, Ministry of Finance, under the provisions of the Securities Contracts Regulation Act 1956 and the rules made under this act. The machinery for regulating the stock exchanges in India in the ministry was very small. It consisted of only about 3 officers and supporting staff. Government relied on stock exchanges for regulating the stockbrokers and sub-brokers. That is the concept of self-regulation of stock exchanges by themselves. So self-regulation was not very effective because it is difficult for an elected president of the exchange to take action against fellow brokers because he has to face election every year. The functioning of the stock exchanges have improved dramatically after the establishment of Securities and Exchange Board of India. SEBI is armed with various statutory powers like inspection of stock exchanges, registration of stockbrokers with SEBI, registration of merchant bankers, then registration of share transfer agents and various other intermediaries. Demutualization has been a great step forward in the regulation of stock exchanges. Now the governing board of stock exchanges, I understand as per the directions of SEBI, contain a majority of independent directors. So that is a very positive step in the regulation of the stock market. With the establishment of the National Stock Exchange, it introduced nationwide electronic trading, online trading. So that was the first time a national electronic market was created for trading. As a consequence, the regional stock exchanges lost their relevance, and in a few years after the establishment of National Stock Exchange, they have closed their operations. During 1990s, after the repeal of the Capital Issues Control Act, several fly-by-night companies raised capital from the public, huge amounts, thousands of crores, and afterwards they vanished. So they were called vanishing companies. So it is. So that was a big setback to the primary market. Later on, SEBI tightened the public issue guidelines, disclosure requirements. After that, we have not experienced the problem of vanishing companies. Before the Patel Committee recommendations were accepted and implemented by Ministry of Finance, the membership of stock exchanges were allowed only for individuals. So we introduced the concept of corporate membership in stock exchange. But we also permitted multiple membership of stock exchanges. Prior to that, if you are a member of Bombay Stock Exchange, you cannot be a member of Ahmedabad Stock Exchange. Okay. So that barrier was removed by the government. Then we introduced publication of half-yearly unaudited financial results by all listed companies. Prior to that, information is given only once in a year at the time of annual report of the company. Half-yearly disclosure of financial results will enable the investors to make correct decisions on investments in the company because they know how the company is going, whether it's making profit or loss. So SEBI improved upon this, and SEBI introduced quarterly disclosure of financial information. That's a great step. This disclosure of information is also a weapon to fight against insider trading. Patel Committee also discussed the need for establishment of a high-level commission for regulating the working of the stock exchanges. on the lines of the Securities and Exchange Commission of the United States. So majority of the members went with endorsed the view of the senior member of the committee, and that committee only recommended a council of securities market for regulating the stock market. Only Dr. L.C. Gupta is an academician and a great scholar. He voiced his dissent in the meeting and also gave a dissenting note, which is attached to the report. So, subsequently, government, Ministry of Finance, I think, realized the need for a statutory body to regulate the stock exchanges. I think it was Dr. Bimal Jalan, who was Chief Economic Advisor in the Ministry of Finance, suggested the need for establishment of a statutory body to the Finance Minister at that time. And Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi was also holding charge of the Ministry of Finance as a Finance Minister. He in his budget speech announced that Securities and Exchange Board like institution will be set up by the government. Dr. Manmohan Singh as Finance Minister, and everything changes. The government came to power under the Prime Ministership of Sri Narasimha Rao in July 1991. Then he announced it, Manmohan. So I was in the Ministry of Finance at that time. So we worked hard and prepared a note for cabinet for establishing SEBI with statutory powers. After getting all the approvals of the cabinet, government issued an ordinance in January 1992, establishing SEBI with statutory powers and functions. And in the ensuing parliament session, government introduced a bill for making the ordinance an act of parliament. So it became an act of parliament in that session. After the establishment of SEBI with statutory powers, several rules and regulations under the SEBI Act were notified from time to time. The first rules to be notified were relating to registration of stockbrokers, because that is the most important step in regulating the stock market. SEBI should have control on stockbrokers. Then only they will have some fear. Otherwise, they will not comply with the regulations or other regulations. Then so many other regulations have been notified, not to prevent fraudulent and unfair trading in stock exchanges, the prohibition of insider trading. Several rules and regulations have been put in place. With this legal framework, the stock exchanges are now functioning more efficiently and with greater protection for the interest of investors. The minimum public offer for a company seeking listing on a stock exchange was 60% of the issued capital of the company, 60%. But for a closely held company or a company with foreign equity participation or a joint sector company, that means government is also shareholder in the company. From the Ministry of Finance, we have been at that time telling all the stock exchanges to computerize their transactions so that there will be greater transparency of operations. So Bombay Stock Exchange was the first stock exchange to introduce computerization of post-trade data. But the exchange did not introduce computerization of transactions at the beginning itself. So they did not, computers did not know how much margins were collected from the brokers. The brokers will, after the completion of the trade, the brokers will report to the computer that we have done 100 crores of transactions in several securities like that. So that was the lacuna in the system. To capture trade at the beginning itself, at the closure of the trading hour, fed into the computers. Okay. But I understand that Cochin Stock Exchange, which is a very small stock exchange at that time, they introduced computerization in the year 1986.